I couldn't tell you the last book I finished, not because I didn't have books. I had a stack on my nightstand, a Kindle full of books, and a list somewhere of the ones that I was going to get to. But I called myself a reader. I value books and education. I raised incredible readers in my children. My kids get about 50 books a week from the library. My husband reads books, fiction, nonfiction, audiobooks. But I hadn't finished a book in years. To be fair, I was in the thick of raising babies. I found reading to be almost impossible when I had little bitty babies. But I wasn't reading. I wanted to be a person who read, but that wasn't reality. And it's not really about books. It was about the gap between who I said I was and how I was actually living my life. And once I felt that gap, I couldn't unfeel it. Not just with reading, but with everything. That gap shows up everywhere if you're willing to look at it. You say you're someone who doesn't stress about money, but you avoid looking at your bank account because you don't want to know how much or how little is in there. You say that spending time together as a family is important to you, but your evenings are spent in separate rooms of your house, doing things on your own. You say that you want to save for the future, for a house, a car, a vacation, college, retirement, whatever. But you aren't actually putting money away with any regularity or planning where your money goes. You just have a general hope that things will work out. I say all of this as someone who has done every single one of those things. There is absolutely no judgment here. But living a life that isn't aligned with who you want to be feels icky. Consistency and building momentum feels much better. So let's talk about what it actually looks like to close the gap between who you want to be and what your actions say that's important to you. Not perfectly, not all at once, just honestly, consistently, one small decision at a time. And if the money piece is where that gap lives for you, the free spreadsheet in the description below is the place to start. It's a simple tool that I've used for almost 20 years to make sure that our money actually goes where we want it to go. The link is below. Drop your email and it comes straight to your inbox. When I realized I hadn't finished a book in years, I was embarrassed enough to do something about it. My kids weren't babies anymore, and I was getting more sleep, so I couldn't use that as an excuse anymore. So I set a goal: read 12 books in a year. Not because 12 is some magic number, it just felt attainable, but it was way more books than I'd read in the past several years combined, probably more books than I'd read since I was in graduate school. It was specific enough to require real consistency. There was no way that I could read 12 books in a month if I didn't read any for the previous 11 months. So I had to actually read regularly and consistently. So I did. And I read 15 books that year. And it wasn't just that I read more that year. It was that I stopped feeling guilty about not being a reader. I actually was a reader. The gap closed. What I said and what I did matched. That feeling is what I'm after in every area of my life. Not perfection, just what I say and what I do actually matching. So what does that look like in my family in this season? Every weekend, I make a big batch of waffles, 50 sometimes. My kids have real breakfast food for the week. And it's not because I have unlimited time or energy, but because I decided a long time ago that making homemade food is my goal whenever possible. It saves money because my kids can go through an entire box of Eggos in like less than one breakfast. But I also do it because it's who I am. I make homemade food whenever possible for my children. So waffles, pancakes, bread, biscuits, pizza, gluten and gluten-free. We eat as a family every night that we're home. And some nights I don't want to. Some nights it's loud and my kids are fighting, and eating healthy food is a struggle. But we're there together Because it's decided. It's not a question that we ask ourselves every evening. We just eat together. And biking. I bike every day that I'm home. This year, I'll probably ride at least 350 days. Not because I wake up motivated. Most mornings I don't. I just get on my bike because I decided once that I'm someone who moves her body every day, and that's what this requires. I feel better when I've exercised, so I am someone who exercises every day. And it's not about me. It's about deciding who you are and making sure that your actions are in line with your values. You decide who you are and what that requires, and then you do it every day, consistently, and building that motivation. The decision gets made once. Everything after that is just showing up. This is why I approach money the way I do, because money is one of the most vital places that this gap shows up. Does your bank statement show what you want your life to look like? Is there a disconnect between what you say you value and what your bank account actually shows that is important to you? You can say you value your kid's future and not be putting anything toward it. You can say that you want to feel secure and have nothing set aside for when something goes wrong. You can say that you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck and have no system that would make that possible. I've lived all of those things for years because I wasn't living with intention, because I hadn't closed that gap between what I said mattered and what I was actually doing. So today, when I look at my bank account, I see the things that I value. That's the same thing that changed reading and biking and making waffles. I got honest about the gap. I decided what I wanted. I decided what I actually wanted, and I built small, consistent actions around that decision. A spreadsheet I open every few days without exception. A retirement transfer that goes out before I even have a chance to think about it. A savings account that is there as a safety net for a big emergency that I hope to never have. None of that is impressive, trust me, but it is consistent. The question that I'd ask you to sit with is not, why can't I get it together? That question isn't useful, and I don't think it's fair. The question is how I'm living matching what I say matters? If it is, keep going. Solidarity. We've got this. But if there's a gap, that's not a character flaw. That's just information that you can use. Start with one thing. Read one book. Make waffles on Saturday. Move the $93 when you find it in your bank account. Get on the bike. The small things are building something. They always were. You just have to be paying close enough attention to see it. The free spreadsheet in the description is a good place to start with the money element. It's free, it's simple, and it's what I use every single month. The link is below. And if this resonates with you, watch this video next.